All right, well, without further ado, let's quiet the nervous system down a little bit and create an environment where we can love ourselves up proper because, you know, we deserve it. All right, you guys, let's just start on the back, and it's going to be your choice. You know, the one that I am such a fan of is the little prop the shoulders and head a little bit to let the ribs drop in, which is a nice way to open up the back body. So it's either that choice, which could be 2 blankets stacked up and one folded, or a pillow and a 3rd blanket. The shoulders go on the 2. The other option would be to take your stack of blankets and just put them underneath your knees. You could even do both if you are flush in the world of props. But with either of these, they're both going to give us a little more length in the back body. And so pressing your elbows down, lengthening through the back ribs, pressing the feet down, bumping the tail under. But mostly, palms, hands can end up on lower end of belly. Mostly, we're really just looking for a comfortable place to step out of our probably more internal momentum and come more present to self. Assuming you have found a place to settle into, please take a breath into the space you occupy. Take a moment to recognize the choice to be here and let go into that next exhale. Feeling body open to earth, allowing gravity just to soften the whole body. Feel the weight of sits bones and heels and elbows. Check in that there's a little bit of space between your teeth. And even your tongue can relax. I hope it's been working. I know I've been a little redundant on this specific breath. It just feels really right to me lately. This idea of feeling the next inhale like a nectar kissing your nostrils, following that nectar up to your 3rd eye, down into your heart and all the way into belly and pelvic floor. Where on inhale, this nectar is just filling up pelvic floor and pelvis and belly. And then as exhale is ready, there's just this sense of letting go, softening into earth support, feeling the energy, the experience of trust. And as simple as it is, we'll just allow this little directed breath to be its own meditation. Inhaling into low, low belly and really just letting your presence follow that sense of breath, expanding down into pelvic floor between the sits bones and the interior of sacrum. Don't distend or force it up into belly, but do let belly get a little bit full. Feel the power of it as your hands open up and your fingers spread a bit. Letting go of exhale, body opens to earth, the skin between your eyebrows just soften. Stay in the practice, but turn down the trying a bit. Just allow it to become a little more elegant and smooth. Notice the little gaps at the top of inhale and exhale. Feel your ability to shift from an external flow to an internal presence. As we just give ourselves this moment to settle, just notice any patterns of holding, unnecessary efforting. It's kind of like layers of an onion. There's always a little deeper, quieter place to go. Inhale, still moving comfortably, quietly, deliberately into pelvic floor. Filling belly, nurturing, fortifying strength and steadiness. Feeling a sense of quiet power. Exhale is just a letting go into the power of trust and heart and freedom. This could be a nice place to add, we'll just be here another minute or two. Nice place to add the Soham meditation, or mantra rather. Do the same practice, just on inhale, we're feeling, enjoying the vibration of So. And on exhale, the lightness and brightness of Hum. A nice energetic effect, but also can practically just keep the mind from wandering less helpful places. Feel yourself having made the shift into receiving and into conscious doing. You choose to quiet down and come together to explore and support, to know and to grow the universe that is you. A little fuller breath into heart. And we'll keep this quieter vibe. And feel free, especially as we kind of ease into it here a little bit, you can plug that Soham mantra in anytime. If you have anything underneath your feet, the blanket underneath your feet, you're just going to slide that away. Our first one is just our good old little IT band, good evening to psoas stretch. So if you have the upper part of the blankets, if you're popped up on your upper body, those should be fine and even a little bit helpful. If you don't have them, it'll also be fine. Please wiggle your feet as wide as your mat. If you're longer than your mat, probably a little wider. Lift and spread your toes. Let's keep the breath smooth and even as with some active energy in feet, we just start to rock side to side. And although there's that little bit of seduction, and we also know we're heading there, of the pull of the IT bands, just stay right in the bigger action at pelvis. You can really feel as you rock side to side, not only the weight shifting from sacrum, but also there's a pretty remarkable articulation and movement that's happening in low back and sacrum. Just tune into that. I'm realizing I'm too close to the wall. And let this movement grow. Keep a little active energy in feet. Don't force, but we know where we're heading, which is that inside knee, your right one, is going to go down towards the floor in a moment. So just kind of let yourself know you're heading in that direction. And then the next time you drop over to the right, you're just going to let the knees drop over. Drop your knees to the left. From here, first piece is, because we're putting some lateral pressure into knee, we just want to take care of that right knee. So you're going to keep a little active energy in foot, and if that doesn't clear any knee discomfort, you're going to get out of dodge. If all systems are go, wait for an exhale and lengthen with a little scoop, a subtle scoop of your tailbone. Reach your right thigh down and away from you. Don't force. Yeah, feel that deeper extension connected all the way up in the belly. And then from here, some of us might know that resting your left foot on knee will be useful. Some of us might want to be cautious with that. Press your elbows down and just see if you can turn your heart as much as available. Turn your heart as much as available to the right. From there, you're just going to stretch your right arm up. So there's kind of a line going from your knee extending down to the floor from your right fingertips. Breathe into that space, turn into your right arm a bit. Come right back to the practice we started with. Find the rhythm of breath. Feel that sense of receptivity, particularly on inhale. Exhale, extend through those 2 points, knee and fingertips. Create some space. Next exhale, go ahead and bring the hand down, knees back up. You might want a windshield wiper here a little bit. From here, we're heading to the other side. Might want to take a moment just to roll on sacrum a bit. Feel that action, hips stay heavy. As you feel ready, the knees are dropping over to the right, so we're working on the left leg. Left knee is reaching down and away from you. Make sure you have some good active energy in foot. Avoid sickling in the foot here, which will translate into stress into the knee. Reach through your tail. Any little bit, it'll just give us more access to the core and take advantage of the twist here. So pressing the elbows down or palms down to get a little bit of leverage to turn the inner body and heart to the left. Left arm's reaching up, right hand can slide onto low belly. Breathe into your whole left side. If you want to make it a little bit more interesting, pull back isometrically into your left heel and use that to create a little dynamic to scoop the tail even more. So there's that sense of hollowing in the low belly. Breathe into your whole left side, look into your left arm. Feel the power of this choice to create some space, to receive it. There's you guys. Exhales bringing you down, knees come back up. We're just coming back to center. We're just gonna do a quick Sukhi Randrasana. Still will work with the blankets. If you're gonna do the little core sit-up versions, then get rid of the blankets here. I'll slide those away for demo purposes. We're gonna visit the glutes a little bit extra tonight. We're gonna even go back to that Sukhi Randrasana, the Agni Stabhasana. Like, why is that guy sneezing? Cross your right ankle over your left knee, hug in a little bit. Create some pelvic tilt, roll your pubic bone down towards the floor, and practice deepen your right groin a little bit more. Might even want to slightly exaggerate. Feel how that's different than popping the ribs up though. We're just working with pelvis, and then you know where we're heading is left foot is coming up. We're doing this as both a hip opener, a little bit of a core strengthener. So we're squeezing in inner thighs really strong and toned. Sits bones rolling down, pubic bone rolling down. Palms pressing at your sides will give low back a little support. If that's still not enough, hold the back of your thigh. More of us in this crowd will maybe add a little more challenge, which would be interlacing the fingers, actually turning it into a bit of a sit-up here. That would be keeping the ribs pulled in, but the hip stretch members, pubic bone sliding down, and maybe the knees coming more in. There's this internal action. And then the more challenging one is kind of more sit-up-esque. All of those are options, of course. Just find the one that fits for you tonight. Listen to your back. Exhale, come on down. Switch it up. Hopefully I'm not throwing too many options at you guys of this online thing. I'm trying to cover all the bases. Spread the toes. Don't force, but just press your left knee away from you, and that's where we'll hit the first little bit of resistance in glutes. From there, pubic bone rolls down. Just because of the nature of the form is you'll feel your left sits bone, your left cheek, left bum is tucked under. So untuck that, stick your left cheek out with more enthusiasm, squeeze into the midline, palms come down, whatever variation you're working, apply it now. Right foot's coming up. We're gonna get a little bit more specific with the glutes here and some of that sit-in stuff in a minute. So that's why we're just putting a little more of our core emphasis on this one right here. But it's warming up our hips as well. Pubic bone rolls down, maybe palms press. Maybe we stretch the arms up and reach from your back ribs to your thumb tips. Remember, we're not interested so much on how much the knees are coming in. It's really where the interest is gonna be is the less obvious pubic bones, sits bones rolling down, which is in a sense kind of the internal oppositional action to the knees wanting to come in. If you can find that, I promise you'll find some good hip stretch. Exhale is bringing you down. Uncross your legs. Let's draw our knees up and just give ourselves a squeeze. Really pull the tail under. Really squeeze the knees into the chest. Slide your palms onto your knees. Stretch your arms straight. If you're still propped up, all we're looking for here, you might want to just slide those away. We're moving here in just one moment. But we're taking just a quick little pause to make sure we have some lumbar curve and just specifically mapping out the sacrum a little bit. So keep your knees together, almost like you're writing circles on the ceiling. But of course, it's the art of moving from the center, so bring your attention right into that plane of contact between your sacred bone and good old Mama Earth. And nothing to get right here, just feel in. There's a nerve plexus here, your sacral plexus, a cluster of nerves. Corresponds to your second chakra. Each chakra corresponds to a set of nerves and glands. Exhale, squeeze the knees in, and just that simple little action of massaging the sacrum. Let's roll to the right side and press ourselves up. Just that little bit of massage on the sacrum can be a nice way to release the erector muscle. Cool, let's stay with the glutes a little bit, you guys. That's what I've been hearing so much is about all the flipping sitting. I know so many of us are just working in front of the computer. So we're just back with a whole bunch of nothing. Just sitting on your mat or floor. It's really the same plane, and it's everything. It's kind of a thing I squawk a lot about in this class because of our back focus, is everything we just worked on. So we're going back to the right leg for Sukhi Rendrasana. You're going to cross your right ankle, left knee if available. And now the tendencies that we felt on the floor to round out will just be in some ways a little bit more obvious. It kind of just gives us a different kind of angle in. So you're going to use your hands behind you, please, and you're going to lift up as tall as you can. In fact, press your right ankle into your knee. Use that leverage, best of your ability, to create that same lumbar curve I'm never shutting up about, which is probably for most of us in this position, or a lot of us in this position, a work in progress, right? You can just get where we're going. To make this, if this is over the top, I should have said, you can slide your foot away a little bit, right, to decrease the intensity. And inversely, you could lift it up a little bit. But basically, we're lifting up your heart, rolling your shoulders back, sticking your bum out with reckless abandon. Your level of recklessness is up to you, but I would remind you, you're in the safety of your own home. Go for it. Don't be reckless. Lift up your heart, groove you guys, and then this one's getting a little bit tricky. You're gonna drop, oh, Joe just talked me through the mirror and then somehow I didn't land. We're gonna drop the knee, I'm sorry, we're gonna drop your foot over to the left. And then from here, your lower foot's gonna roll in a little bit. You might need to prop your right bum with a blanket, but you might find you could just lean into it. And now that same tendency to want to drop into you. So we're here, we dropped over, my camera's sinking. Hand is back behind you. You're going to do your best to lift up your heart, broaden out your elbows, and exhale, you're going to twist your heart to the right. It's going to twist into your thigh and take a really big breath into belly. Pull your thigh as much as is available towards your core, and roll your right pubic bone down, roll your right sits bone down. So we're getting the twist, but I'm hoping we're getting some little more action in the upper outer hip here. And then we could just unwind ourselves, or you could just roll yourself right back. Gonna uncross the legs. Gonna switch it up, second side. So remember, for the Sukhi Rendrasana part, we got a lot of play. The further you're away, the less intense it's gonna be. You can bring it in tighter. Take a moment though, before you work it a bit, press your ankle into your knee and really use that to broaden out. You can see I'm actually lifting myself up to get that little bit of tilt. That's not necessary, but if available, do it. And so what I'm doing there is just really rolling pubic bone down. I know, I'm a broken record. Squeeze in, and we're just gonna work it a bit. Lift up your heart. Most of us, this hip is also gonna be different in terms of intensity, so don't force yourself into the same form. Most of us will be able to find a place where there's an excessive amount of intensity here. That's where receptivity is really gonna be diminished. So keep the breath nice and bright, back off accordingly. Give ourselves one more breath here. And then stay long through the low back. And just from here, we're just gonna let the foot drop over to the right. Other modifications I should have said is if they have trouble landing, if you put a block there, that is often the trick. But if you lean into the hip, the right foot needs to slide in towards us a bit. From there, lift up tall, broaden out your elbows, slide your palate back, exhale, twist Carlsbad Caverns to the left. No, that's me. Twist your heart to the left, squeeze your thigh into your belly, breathe your belly into your thigh. Inhale into length. Move the inhale right down into pelvic floor. Exhale into trust. Let's unwind. Could roll ourselves back. We're gonna uncross. Give the legs a little bit of a shake. And this next one is a little trickier. We're just going to take this hip detour a little bit deeper tonight to build on some of this stuff. Things to keep in mind, we access these muscles in two different planes and their surrounding companions. Thing to keep in mind though, whenever we're doing the hip stuff for the glutes, is that external rotation action is also one of the more challenging ones for the knees. So we want to be sensitive to the knees here. And we definitely, as we go into this little more advanced pose we introduced a few weeks ago, we want to just be extra sensitive that we're not letting the stress, we're not forcing ourselves into the hip form, and putting stress into our knees. So with all of that being said, for most of us in this one, sitting up on a blanket is going to be useful, just right at the edge of it, just like we would for a meditation. Let's see, we've been doing a lot of right. Let's do, you're going to bring the right foot in. If you spread the toes, and you're just going to bring it in, and you're not going to, it's not, we're never serving form, right? But a good general setup would be to have the shin bone of your right leg parallel with the front edge of your mat. Take a moment though before we add the other leg, and once you have that one set, being a little closer will be a little less hip intense. Lift up your knee, lean away from it. Don't be shy. I'm grabbing my bum and I'm pulling it back. Right. You can also use a little manual assistance there. But the leg that's actually gonna be more interesting for us is this one. Stay tall, squeeze your right leg into the midline a little bit. And then a technique here is to actually hold the outer edge of your foot and also your knee. And you'll notice that same pattern, everything wanted to kind of get pulled and tucked under from your left hip. So you're just doing your best to work against that. Try pressing your right leg down to get a little leverage to lift up your heart more. And then you're just working this a bit. So just find the range of motion. Some of us have pretty open hips. Like I've been a yoga teacher for the last 25 years. So it doesn't matter. Like we might be this is a totally good place. This external rotation is a tough thing, especially in a culture where the chair is as popular as ours. Others of us might even be all the way up, crooks of the elbow, and really working the shin towards the heart. So we're just working it a bit and giving ourselves a break as needed. But where this is heading is, at this point, you're gonna lower the little toe side of your foot. If you are in the happily open hips category, has its own problems, is you might stack. The deepest version of this would be stacking your foot on top of the knee. Notice as I do that, this knee wants to be way up. So sort of the intensity valve is where the shin bone goes, the outer edge of the little toe side of the foot goes on your shin. So you're stacked. Agni Stampasana means fire log pose. So it's like your shins are stacked like fire logs. If your knee is up, in fact, it would be a good action, no matter where you decided to put your foot, lean away from it, just like we did on the first side. Grab your thigh. It's that same bum sticking pelvic tilt. You can see as I set my thigh bone in, my knee drops down, and that's not for the sake of the knee, that's just letting me know that the hips are a little more lined up. Super good, you guys, a really good place. I know, has everybody signed off? Everybody has signed off. Now it's just me. Interlace your fingers, flip the heels of your hands up. Other options would be using your hands to stay tall. If you're feeling pretty stable here, hands go forward, armpits and palate goes back. Roll your pubic bone down and get really tall. So this would be a really good place to stay and work. Variations right up here if the lumbar curve is not quite there yet, meaning we still need more of that pelvic tilt. We're sitting on our tailbone a little bit. If I get somebody, other folks, the Kathleen's and the folks with more open hips might start to hinge forward, keeping themselves as long as possible. Others of us have gotten up and gone to the fridge, hinging forward. And then the version I like for this, but everybody can try it, is bringing your hands to your feet, and then you press your feet into your hands. And I know I'm going to say it again probably 80 more times in this class tonight, is rolling your pubic bone down. So we're hinging forward. I'm reaching my heart forward and sticking my bum way back. You'll never be the same. Groovy, guys. Inhale. The folks who came forward, come on up. And then just wise here, once again, it's safe. The knees are real flexible when they're bent. The ligaments are real loose, but still not a bad idea to give a little hand here to lift up your top side knee, shake it out, a little hand to lift up the lower leg. Just bounce the knees a few times. And just to cover all the bases, because I can't see all the screens right now from back here, is remember, you could just, if this one is just a little too much, the Sukhi Rendrasana, the figure 4 stretch that we did earlier, twice already, would be a really good one. We just have a lot more freedom and ability to play there. All right, second side. Let's see, I did it in reverse. So we're gonna bring the left shin in. And remember, we're gonna take that and just, even though all the work's gonna be on the top side leg, the more we can set that, the better. So remember, active foot, you're on the little toe side of your foot. I'm gonna lift up the knee for a second and really pull the sits bone back. Keep myself nice and tall. In fact, you can even use your right foot to kind of encourage that. And then, remember, relief valve would be bringing your lower foot more into the midline and closer to you, assuming your knee will accommodate. Excuse me. Hold the outer edge of your foot and or knee. Just gonna work like exactly what it needs to look like. These are your anti-gravity muscles. Every time you've ever gotten up, these are the muscles who have done the work. So don't curse them, give them some love, and they make you look good in pants. So I'm just saying, we're gonna lift up your heart. The idea here is we're just getting into the acetabulum a little bit, the hip socket. Very ball and socket joint, of course, and part of the way that joint takes care of itself is through the osmotic effect of synovial fluid. So we're just getting some of that fluid, a little bit of freedom. And of course, we're also working these hard working external rotators. Lift up your heart. super active foot. And then remember, and this side is going to be different. Don't force yourself into the same form as the first side. But observe, you guys already know, which hip is the tighter one, the more stable one. Remember, knee is going to probably be the deepest version of this, just on the basic form, so you have some play. Wherever you place the foot, though, please do take a second, lean away from it, lift the knee up more than you need to. Both lift your heart and pull your right sits bone back. Boom, stack up your fire logs. Squeeze into the midline. Even if you know you're going into some of the forward bend variations, let's all interlace the fingers and squeeze the knees together, roll your pubic bone down. Hands stay a little bit forward, armpits and palate go up and back. Pull your elbows out broader, shoulder blades slide down, big bright breath. Once again, this is a really, you can feel it like Dandasana, right? There's plenty going on here. We can be working the core, strengthening the back, and opening up the hips. So no need to go anywhere else. Some of us, just because the hips are more open, it's just gonna make sense to swan dive forward. Lots of possibilities there. Dropping out the fingers wide, using that to create a little traction. But the one I always like to work here is this hands pressing into feet. And remember, you can do that from all the way up. So it's just giving us, we're just changing the action a bit. We're pressing into the soles of the feet. And the idea there is we're using that yet again to roll the pubic bone down, to widen out the sits bones. We opened up that as an avenue of breath. Continue to please work that pattern. Inhale down into pelvic floor, feed some strength. Some of your most powerful muscles. The folks who came forward, inhale out of here. Let's all stretch out. Release the hands, and then we'll just support ourselves. Reach down, grab your knee, just as to avoid any torquing. Shake it out, bounce it out a little bit. In kind of a little different plane here, and we'll get a little bit more into adductors, but a pose we don't visit too often, in this class anyway, is Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. Sometimes it's called cobbler's pose, I guess because the cobbler might hold a shoe between his feet or her feet. So what we're doing here, it's another one where it's easy to get caught up in what the form should be, and another one where in any given class, the forms are gonna look pretty dramatically different. So soles of the feet are together, and then of course, a big part of where we have some play is just kind of how wide the shape of our diamond maybe is, right? Is the closer that we come in, the more we're working the adductors, which we're heading into, and those attachments, which play together with hips. So you don't want to go to a place, and at the same time, most of us, we jam up too much, we'll feel ourselves. Yet again, another into getting kind of pulled into everything. We'll create freedom in other places. We'll give up freedom in other places. So go a little conservative, but also find some good stretch, right? So we're not really too concerned about how close the heels are to your pelvis. We are a little bit more concerned about how high the knees are. And the action there, I know, you know what I'm gonna say, is once again, setting the femurs, but it could also be just propping up a little bit higher. So what I'm gonna suggest is you lift up your knees, you press down into blanket or floor, and either lift yourself a tiny bit and really stick the bum out. So as you come back down, you can actually kind of catch your sits bones to encourage that pelvic tilt. Generally, we don't want the knees to be higher than the hip bones. The thing to keep in mind, though, is that your hip bones are higher than you think. If available, you're gonna use your index and middle finger to loop the corresponding big toes. If they're too far away, you could loop them, either just loop the feet with a strap, because what we want to create here is a little bit of a dynamic. You're gonna pull on your toes or your strap to lift up your heart. I'm going to use that dynamic, pull the straps apart, pull the toes a little bit apart. As I broaden out my elbows, I'm going to pull my heart through. Palate slides back. Now press the inner edges of your feet together really strong. Keep that pressing, particularly the balls of your big toes, really press them together. Now press the outer edges of your feet, so the whole connection, there's a whole connection between your feet. Lift up your heart, breathe. This is a really nice place to do that breath, especially with the so hum. Inhale, so down into pelvic floor like a nectar. Exhale, get taller. Elbows are still broadening out. Not that you need to. Remember, I'm more concerned with you not overstimulating than ego getting us into trouble. But once again, just covering the bases. If you're not finding a lot of adductor stretch and your heels are real close into you, try pressing the balls of your feet together, inside edge and outside edge, but then start to take your heels apart. Just if you're looking for more sensation, your exhale is super available and smooth. And then this one also, don't do it just because we're doing it. There's a lot going on here, I bet, for a lot of us. Some good place just to be still and work this mantra for a few more rounds. The other place we could go is, once again, a hinging forward bend. All of the versions, both of those versions, are with broadening elbows. One more complete round of breath. Wherever you are, the folks who are forward, come up on an inhale. It's another one that can be a little deceptive, so not a bad idea to reach out and give your knees a little bit of help coming into the midline. Stretch out the legs, give them a shake. Take a breath into your hips. So we got a little bit, the other sort of key muscles for hips, I would say, is we still need to get a little bit deeper into psoas, because it just ties everything together. And then really the quads and hamstrings would be the other two things that we want to put on our list a bit. But it's springtime, even though we keep breaking record cold records. What am I trying to say? Just because it's been a really cold spring. I thought it was done. I put my seedlings in, and now they got to go in tonight again. But let's create some of our own internal sunshine and fire, although the weather has been gorgeous. Exhale, scoop the tail, fall back into child's pose. Inhales, drawing you back up. I'm forgetting what class we're in. I usually give us the cat-cow version here first. Same idea though, we're exhaling with contraction like a Halloween cat, or falling back with a little deeper contraction in belly if knees allow. Either way, inhale is an opening to a sliding forward from your heart. Really find that depth of exhale, empty yourself all the way out. Open to the inhale as a gift, find a little bit more of a back bend there, pull your heart forward. Really staying in on hips tonight. So the little bit of shoulders that we could get into, this is a little variation here, is as you exhale, the folks doing the fuller Chakravarkrasana, remember you can pull back into the heels of your hands and drop your elbows down, kind of pull your heart forward, your little thoracic spine action, upper back access. Don't let that be a distraction. We'll shoulder it up a little more next week or Wednesday. Nice, you guys. Let's meet up in table. Here, we're going to just do a quick balancing table. Press your right index finger knuckle down, stretch your right arm back, pull arm and leg into the midline. Left arm is reaching forward, maybe find a steady gaze, pull the ribs in to reach more through the thumb side of your hand and through the heel itself, get longer. I can feel I'm rounding out my back a little extra. So I'm gonna lift up my heart and soften the space between my shoulder blades, but that's tricky because that can really pop the ribs. It's kind of fun, it's like cogs in a machine. The folks wanting to work a little bit harder, we're just gonna turn that into a couple of these floating crunches where you bring elbow and knee together on exhale. but it's kind of add a little Chakravrasana action there. So you're really hollowing out belly. Other good place to work here would just be steady. Also just work the leg, of course. Leg could also stay on the floor with toes curled under. The folks crunching, make this one the last one. We're gonna meet back in table position. We're gonna do all that little bit on the other side, but here you're either gonna have the option to fall back into a child's pose or press it up into a down dog. The folks in child's pose, please drop right back into the breath pattern, inhaling a nectar, nurturing necker down into pelvis. Exhale, a letting go. Let your head be heavy. Child's pose, folks, on exhale. Dog folks, you know what I'm gonna say. Bend your knees like crazy. Squeeze an imaginary block between your inner thighs and work that action I just will not shut up about tonight. Lift your groins up towards the ceiling. Lift your sits bones up towards the ceiling. And then just full stretch from index finger knuckles. Keep the weight out of the heels of your hands. And if you're clear that you've got full extension through the low back and then dog pose, folks, start to just real mindfully bring your legs straighter. So we add some hamstring action, but we don't eclipse the lumbar curve. Nice, Maggie. Looking good, you guys. Dog pose, folks, you guys could come forward into plank if you wanted to work a little bit more. And then child's pose, folks, are gonna float up into table. We're all just meeting up into table, And I'm gonna do the quick version again. You guys are gonna shout at me if there's anything that needs clarified or there's trouble. Lots of good variations here, right? Listen to back before me always. Left leg could go back. Don't let it be jargon though, even the black belts. Pull the ribs in, reach back through the heel. Remember that action is even in some ways more available with the toes curled under. So that can be a really nice way to engage the core, decompress the low back with very little stress. Or maybe it's more appropriate we add some stress by lifting up the leg and then the opposite arm. Left index finger knuckles pressing down. Ribs are drawing in, either version you're doing. Hug your arm and leg into the midline. Nice, you guys look up a little bit, melt the heart without losing the ribs. And then remember, we're gonna have the option of kind of these floating crunches, but less momentum, conscious action, right? So you're gonna fully extend each time. You're not necessarily gonna contact elbow and knee, but if available, we are. And the other thing, remember, when you're working towards that deep contraction of elbow and knee coming in, really stay connected into belly. So you're really hollowing out belly. Full attenuation of breath. It's going to give us another moment here to work this one. And then we're going to have the same option. Let's meet back into table. Curl the toes, look up, get longer through the side body, and press it back, downward facing dog. Other options here, wrists, sometimes tricky. So the other option could be a version of down dog on your forearms. That also just on the economy of time can be a nice way into upper back. Other option, right, of course, is child's pose. Dog pose, folks, this time, after you've really lifted your sits bones with great enthusiasm, like a pup stretching in the morning, instead of pressing your heels down, press them straight back, as if you were gonna spring forward on the balls of your feet. You'll kind of feel your whole back of your legs start to light up. And then see if it makes sense to use that action to take the tops of your thighs back. To press the hollow out the groins even more, but instead of this lift and pubic bone roll, which is still there, we're grounding the thighs into the back plane of the body. Come on forward into plank if you wanna. We're all gonna meet up in table. So child's pose, pull yourselves back up. Nice, you guys. All right. Let's, did I miss anything? I know that's my job. Let's head back to our backs. We're gonna need the strap and whatever you're gonna want for Shavasana in a little while. We're gonna do, I think, the flame of healing practice. for our deeper. I think a whole bunch of nothing. But of course, if head is not happy being at the same height level as your sacrum, then prop your head and shoulders a little bit if needed. Let's do our, what do we call it? The Roman sandal. Let's do our little Roman sandal loop. We're heading towards Supta Pads. So we're just meeting up on our backs with a strap or long tie. Remember the Roman, I should probably get a better camera angle for you guys, for anybody who doesn't know it. We're gonna take the strap and we're just gonna even it out. We're just gonna do a little bit of a wrap-em-ups here. You're gonna take the, right across the instep, you're gonna take the strap and then you're gonna cross it in front. Then you're gonna wrap it around the ankle and you're gonna cross it again. It's like a Roman sandal. Hug your left leg into the midline, press through the ball of your foot, hold the strap and externally rotate, turn your foot to the right, turn the foot into the midline. Notice if that's happening at by twisting your ankle or your hip, untwist your ankle and move your hip. You're gonna do that one a time or two. Rotate your hip externally, turn your foot to the right. Feel the movement is happening at your hip socket. We're going inside. Let's go a little more direct hamstrings. Take both straps into both hands if they're not, and let's just create a little more dynamic. So we just have a little more kind of ability to create the engagement here. And so you're gonna pull on your foot, but not for what seems like the obvious to get your foot more over your nose. You're gonna pull on your foot so you can press your heel away from you more enthusiastically. And you'll be shocked to hear that I'm gonna suggest at this time that you roll your pubic bone down towards the floor, using that action not only to create lumbar curve, but to take some of the space out from behind your left thigh. So it could just be a passive hamstring stretch, but that is not the invitation here. I'm attempting to demonstrate the action of popping my ribs. So don't pop your ribs. Cool, guys. We're going back to that external rotation and giving our hamstrings a little bit of break from all that good effort. Both straps are going into your right hand. From your thigh, externally rotate. Press through the ball of your big toe. Take your right leg out to the side. Some of us, Kirsten, some of us with a little more lumbar curve will want to scoop here a bit on the right cheek. Press more through the ball of your big toe. Turn your toes more, rotate your foot so it's upside down relative to the floor. Inhale's bringing you back up. Not as much twisting tonight. Switch hands with the strap. Right hand's going out to the side. Ground down to your palm and shoulder. Pause for a second though, and as you inhale, really reach to your heel and your crown. And just feel that as a line of action. Wait for an exhale. Belly's getting hollow. Take the leg across the body. Actually, it fits. We played with this last week, kind of pausing halfway before we go into the big twist action. That was for leading. But well, nice place to play it. It certainly fits with where we're heading tonight. Would be a little more IT band stuff. So what you can do is loop your thumb into the crease of your hip, kind of pin it down. And then the other thing that will often be useful here is kind of go kung fu foot, evert your foot as if you create the action in your foot as if you were walking around on the little toe side. Turn your heart to the right. If that's working, take a little time with it. The next place we're gonna go, of course, is the more familiar. Exhale the rest of the way. Just meaning the hips coming up, and we're gonna pause now before your right shoulder comes up. Reach through both heels. Breathe more. Really nice place to send so as a nurturing nectar down into pelvic floor. Feeding the reach through your lower heel. Exhale is just that reminder, which is so available in the physical practice, to let go of that extra doing. As humans, we're so good at the extra doing. Inhale is bringing you back up. Let's bend our knee to get out of here. Unwrap yourself, shake it out a little bit, take a breath. You can notice any difference up in the lower right side of your low back or sacrum. It's a nice part about doing that hip work, not to paint your experience for you, but as we open up through the sequence, the hamstring stretch can really allow the femur to sink. Low backs generally love that. From here, you guys, we're doing the same thing. Remember, we took the little time to secure the ankle a bit more tonight with this little wrap them up. So you're gonna even out your strap, just as you have it across the instep. You're gonna cross it over the front of the ankle. You're gonna keep the strap smooth, cross it one more time behind. And then without getting too worried about hamstrings, remember we're just getting this little extra acetabulum, a little extra hip socket 11 tonight too. Very popular joint to replace these days. You're gonna turn your foot in. Notice how the foot wants to sickle. Do the best you can. You can even use your hand if you wanted to get a little kinesthetic feedback. We're externally rotating. We're just taking that as far as finding the full range of motion. Internal rotation. Pigeon-toed, external, I don't know, penguin. I feel like they have remarkably similar feet, the penguins and the pigeon. From here, we're gonna meet back up in center. We're gonna work the hamstrings a little more directly. And remember, we're gonna really engage here. So if you don't have it, have both straps in, each strap in a hand, pull on your foot, but then more enthusiastically press your heel away. And remember, the angle of your leg is not determined by where you can get your foot. Once again, it's determined by your breath and a little bit of, ideally, a little concave shape in your low back. Once you've really engaged, hug your right leg into the midline and use the power of your left leg and a little bit of that pelvic tilt. Not necessarily that it'll flatten for everybody or that's the goal, it's more directional, but move, take some of the space out from behind your right thigh. The sits bone rolling down, pubic bone rolling down. So we're getting some good hamstring stretch, but we are not overwhelmed. We're really grounding the right thigh. Both straps are going back in your left hand. Press through we're gonna go through the ball of the foot a little bit more tonight. So you're gonna press through the ball of the foot, a little more, and turn your foot out. So we're externally rotated, going to that part 2. Left leg is going out to the side. Left hip, cheek might need to scoop under a bit. You're gonna keep working this external rotation all the way down though. So we're drawing the tail under on the left side. So we really woke up these muscles a little bit more. We always strengthen these muscles because of our back focus in our class. These inner thigh muscles, I always call them our unsung core muscles, adductors. But now you can feel as you press through the ball of your big toe, press that into some imaginary resistance. You can feel perhaps that adductor magnus all the way up to the inner thigh. Inhale's bringing you back up, no rush. I've lost my strap. And last one is the twist, of course. Take both straps into your right hand. Pause for a moment. Easy to get sloppy in this one. So really reach all the space. We always want the space, but it's like triply true in a twist. Reach through your heel into your crown. Breathe into that line of action. Left arm is going out to the side. Both straps are in your right arm. Taking the leg across the body. And then we did this little detour. If you took it last time, take it this time, please. Which is we're using our left hand. This is a really good one for a partner. If you have a partner who's just watching you do yoga now, get them over there and say, pull my left hip towards the floor. And then the other thing, so we're just getting into the IT band, and we're stretching through the little toe side of the foot. Remember this Kung Fu foot idea is like you're everting, you're walking on the little toe side of your foot. Some of us, this fascia will just be more free and you won't be finding as much here, in which case you'll move on sooner. If you're really on to something, of course, give yourself a couple more breaths. Everybody turn their heart to the left. Exhale is going to take you the rest of the way into the twist. There might be some elbows grounding you down to turn your heart away from your foot. But once you got the form, let's just work the pose a bit. Back to receiving. Inhale, reach through your heel and crown. Exhale, allow your navel to drop towards your spine. Twists are the most purifying and integrating class of poses. With this last pose, an opportunity to integrate all the different energy you stirred tonight. All these hard-working bits. Inhale's bringing us back up. Just gonna bend our knee to get out of here and unwrap ourselves. We could draw something symmetrical at this point. Please just take a moment to listen to body. Could be knees to chest, could just be constructive rest and some breaths. Take a moment. Remember, we're just the guides. Your body and breath are our true teachers. Could be a little rocking side to side. And since I added chillin' to the title of this class for our online festivities, I've been doing some deeper relaxation stuff. So that's where we're heading now. I don't think I'm going to give us any directions. So set up in a way that there won't be any distractions for body. I don't think we need any prep for this. Is some of you guys will recognize this. This is actually a meditation that uses the energy of willpower and what's called Shakti energy for healing. It's actually two meditations that I've kind of combined into this practice through the years. And I'll kind of talk us through it, and we'll just see how it goes here. The folks who are all settled, please just drop right back into feeling that sweetness, that gift of life itself as breath kissing your nostrils, touching you at the third eye, a little illumination of mind. But then this nectar is just going all the way down. You can even feel the gravity of it down into pelvic floor, feeding this sense of strength and power and gravity, gravitas maybe. But now more than ever, just feel that exhale as that that letting go as body softens. In fact, you might even want to just even let the exhale be a little bit longer and slower at this point. The energy in your hips and glutes and belly. The chakras we were working with were Muladhara and Svanistana tonight, the qualities of earth and water, steadiness and safety and home and nurturing and sensuality, sensitivity, kind of where our likes and dislikes begin is second chakra. Soften the skin between your brows. Feel your ears open. Just feel the pulse of belly, the movement of breath and life at belly. You kind of allow your presence just to kind of get kind of comfortably absorbed into belly. And as you feel that part of you that is hearing my voice, kind of just in this experience of being absorbed into your own beautiful belly, see a golden flame right at the spine, almond shaped, about 3 inches tall, and feel it. Feel its golden light just shining through you. And it doesn't matter if it shows up like an image on your phone or more as a feeling or a quality. It's just as it should be. So feel, see some combination of this golden flame, which is the image of the next chakra up, the seat of willpower, the energetic home of fire. In the Vedic perspective, the energy of change in all forms. This sacred flame has been behind all those moments when you were truly able to excel, when you experienced yourself as a force of nature. Feel this flame of willpower and spirit just becoming more robust, just through your consciousness, just through the recognition of it. And now this flame is going to move up through the central channel of your spine, steadily and inevitably. And as it's making this journey, starting at the navel, through the very center of your spine, it's just melting away resistance and blocks in any form. As it reaches the height of your heart, feel the power of heart fortified with the quality of this fire and flame. But also the flame receives, is imbued with the qualities of heart, of compassion and empathy. Moving past heart into throat, feel your throat clear, into brainstem. Feel the flame settle into the midbrain. Feel the sacred flame of spirit and willpower burning in the midbrain, burning away confusion and misidentification, self-limiting thoughts. And now once again, you feel that part of you that is hearing my voice kind of absorbed into the flame. Feel awareness move into the flame. And as you move into this flame, it's transformed into a sphere of concentrated healing energy that's just holding your brain. It's just filling your head. This concentrated healing energy is in fact yours. Feel your own concentrated healing energy just holding your brain. And now this sphere is going to move down into your throat. And as it emerges from your throat, it's going to slide over towards your right shoulder. And it's leaving a trail of golden light. It's going to make contact with the inside of your right shoulder and shoulder blade, your heart and lungs and chest. As it makes contact with the right shoulder, it's gently deflected and moves down and back into the center of body, leaving this trail of golden light, this concentrated healing energy moving through you. And so this concentrated healing energy is just kind of zigzagging through the body, going back and forth, effortlessly working its way down into pelvis. There's no rush, but eventually it'll settle into pelvis. You'll just feel this sphere of concentrated healing energy just resting in pelvis. Nurturing the organs of elimination and reproduction. When that feels like it's done, the sphere will move back up into belly, and it's going to do a similar journey, working its way back up through trunk. And as it takes this journey back up towards your head, any areas that didn't get covered by this golden light, you'll be sure to get. And also any part of you in the physical or emotional bodies that just need a little fortification, you're just going to pause this concentrated healing energy of you to any place that needs a little fortifying. Eventually this sphere will work its way back into throat and come to rest, holding the brain. Feel heart, mind, and the experience of peace. This golden sphere of healing energy just holding your brain, healing your brain, nurturing. And once again, that part of you that is hearing my voice is absorbed into this sphere. Feel yourself just absorbed into the sphere of golden light. And once again, the sphere transforms, now slightly changes shape to a golden sphere that now contains your whole body and is now kind of more of the shape of like a golden egg. Feel yourself held by this body of Shiva, this golden, vibrant energy just holding you. Feel yourself begin to dissolve. Less body and more consciousness. Let go of body. Feel yourself as this golden egg. Attachment to form is the last layer of mind. Let go. Feel your breath. Breath moves down into pelvic floor. Feel body. Recognize you are the source of this piece. Take a moment to feel gratitude for these hard-working parts we got into a bit tonight. Also, as you take a brighter breath and stretch out through fingers and toes, also just take a moment for acknowledging the choice of this space. This choice to slow down, to receive. As you're ready, a little brighter breath reaches out to fingers and toes. You can just bring your feet flat. And of course, you are more than welcome to stay in Shavasana, but if you want to say goodbye, you could just draw your knees up, roll to a side, be a little heavy. Get that good earth and water we worked with tonight.